Feeling that familiar knot in my gut, I tightened my hold on the driving wheel as I pulled onto my parents' street. Another meal on Friday. Another night of being treated like the ATM in the family. It wasn't getting any easier after 8 months of this. Naomi is my name. I'm 27, and it seems that my only purpose in life is to support my older sister's extravagant lifestyle. Let me take a step back. I went to what I assumed was a typical family dinner 8 months ago. I was mistaken. I was seated for what my parents referred to as a family conversation. There were my sister Vanessa, her husband Derek, and their 2 children, Liam, 2, and Emma, 4. The golden kid has always been Vanessa. She grew up with our parents' full attention, the larger bedroom, and the newer clothing. Being an afterthought became second nature to me. Our parents arranged them an extravagant wedding that they couldn't afford when she married Derek at the age of 22, who was an entrepreneur with lofty goals and inconsistent income. I received a card and supper at Olive Garden after I graduated with honors from college. That evening 8 months prior, my mother had remarked, "Naomi, we need to talk about something important." It was obvious from her tone that this was not a request. My dad went on, "Vanessa and Derek need assistance with their rent. We're going to assist them, and your participation is also required." I recall assuming they meant a few $100s. That made enough sense. Family is family, isn't it? Mom clarified, "We'll be giving them $1,000 a month. And you'll be making the same contribution." My water almost swallowed me. $1,000 a month? That's crazy. I'm paying my own rent and saving for a place of my own. Vanessa rolled her eyes. For the children, we are renting a 2-bedroom home. They need the room, but it's costly. Why can't you find a less expensive place? Or perhaps, I'm not sure, find employment? Vanessa was the one I asked. I felt as though I had proposed selling one of the kids based on the stares I received from everyone at the table. Vanessa defensively remarked, "Derek's career is demanding." Derek gave a significant nod, despite the fact that his career was mostly made up of contract employment that left them destitute. And I must be at home with the children. I objected, saying, "I can't afford $1,000 a month." Mom's expression tightened. "Naomi, family sacrifices for family. Or have you lost sight of everything that we have done for you?" Just as planned, there it was, the guilt trip. Instead of purchasing expensive items from the shop Vanessa adored, I got Emma and Liam toys from Target for Christmas last year. Based on my family's reaction, you would think I had handed them rocks. Passive-aggressive remarks about my thoughtless presence marred the entire holiday. So I caved. For 8 months, I had been sending Vanessa $1,000 each month. Consuming more ramen than I'd care to acknowledge. Observing the decline of my funds. They would post pictures of fancy restaurant dinners and brand new toys for the kids while Derek was at work. When he didn't, they would beg my parents for money while complaining about being broke. Today's dinner would be the same old routine. Everyone fawning over Vanessa and the kids. Derek talking about his next big project. And me, sitting there like a human wallet. I pulled into the driveway, took a deep breath, and prepared for the usual circus. Inside, it was exactly as I predicted. Mom and Dad were on the floor playing with Emma and Liam. Vanessa was sprawled on the couch, scrolling through her phone. And Derek was telling my dad about his latest, guaranteed success, project. "Hey," I said, standing in the doorway. No one even looked up, except Dad, who gave a half-hearted wave before turning back to Derek. Dinner was served, and we all sat down. Adults at the table, kids playing in the living room. I noticed Mom and Dad exchanging glances, and my stomach dropped. I knew that look. It meant they had another family discussion planned, and those never ended well for me. "Naomi," Mom started, her voice carrying that same authoritative tone from 8 months ago. "We need to have a serious conversation. We've decided to give our house to Vanessa, Derek, and the kids." I looked at my sister and her husband. They weren't surprised at all. They were practically glowing with smug satisfaction. "Vanessa has 2 children," Dad explained, as if I might have forgotten about my niece and nephew in the past 5 minutes. "They need the space, and it's much more economical than continuing to pay rent." That actually made some financial sense, so I nodded slowly. "Okay, so where will you live?" Are you getting an apartment? My parents exchanged another look, this time with small smiles. My blood ran cold. We won't need to rent, Mom said cheerfully. We're moving in with you. We'll take the master bedroom. And don't worry about us paying rent, you've got that covered. Though utilities will go up a bit with 3 people, of course. I stared at them, my mouth hanging open. You can't just decide to move in with me. I'm 27. I have my own life, my own routine. I'm trying to date. I can't have my parents living with me. Mom's smile disappeared. Family requires sacrifices, Naomi. You need to sacrifice for us now. Vanessa nodded smugly. Don't forget to keep sending me the $1,000 each month, by the way. What? I exploded. Why would I keep sending you money? You're getting a free house. Vanessa looked outraged. God, you're such an egoist. I have kids, Naomi. Kids need things. I'll find a use for that money. Everyone laughed, except me. This was a joke to them. I was a joke to them. It's all settled, then, Dad said with finality. We'll be moving in soon. I stood up, my hands shaking. I need to go. I should clear out the master bedroom for you. What I really needed was to get out of there before I screamed or burst into tears, or both. I drove home in a rage, my knuckles white on the steering wheel. Every memory of being overlooked and taken advantage of by my family flooded back at once. The birthdays where my gifts were an afterthought. The time I got a promotion and no one remembered to congratulate me. The countless times I dropped everything to babysit Emma and Liam while Vanessa and Derek went out, never even getting a thank you. What had they ever done for me? Nothing. Not a damn thing. By the time I reached my apartment, I knew exactly what I needed to do. I wasn't going to let them steamroll me again. Not this time. I grabbed my phone and called my landlord, Scott. He was a decent guy in his 50s who owned several buildings in the area. Hey, Scott. It's Naomi from 4B. I have a situation I need to discuss with you. What's up, Naomi? Everything okay with the apartment? Took a deep breath and explained the whole situation, the monthly payments to my sister, my parents giving away their house, and their plan to move in with me without even asking. To my surprise, Scott didn't sound annoyed or inconvenienced. He sounded genuinely sympathetic. Man, that's rough, he said when I finished. My brother-in-law pulled something similar with my wife before we were married. Some people just feel entitled to whatever they want. So, about breaking the lease, I asked hesitantly. Don't worry about it. No penalties. Family drama is the worst, Scott said. Then he paused. Actually, I might have a solution for you. I've got another unit vacant in my building on Maple Street. It's about the same size as your current place, maybe a bit smaller. Rent would be similar. If you want it, it's yours. I couldn't believe my luck. That would be perfect. Thank you so much. No problem. When do you want to move? As soon as possible. Tomorrow, if I can arrange movers. Scott laughed. You're not wasting any time. I like that. Come by my office in the morning and I'll have the paperwork ready. After hanging up, I immediately started packing. I worked through the night, fueled by a combination of anger and determination. By morning, I had most of my belongings in boxes. I called a moving company that advertised same-day service and booked them for that afternoon. At Scott's office, I signed the new lease and handed over my current keys. Here are the keys to your new place, he said, sliding them across the desk. What should I do when your parents show up? I grinned. Just tell them I don't live there anymore. Don't give them my new address. The movers arrived at noon, and by evening, I was settling into my new apartment. It wasn't perfectly arranged yet, but it was mine, and more importantly, my family had no idea where it was. 2 days later, I was unpacking the last of my kitchen items when my phone buzzed with a text from my mother. We're on our way to your apartment with our things. See you soon. I didn't respond. I just waited, imagining the scene that would unfold. Sure enough, about 2 hours later, my phone exploded with calls. I let the first few go to voicemail, savoring the moment. When I finally answered, my mother was already mid-shout. Absolutely unacceptable. Where are you? There's some man at your apartment telling us you don't live there anymore. That's my landlord, I said calmly, and he's right. I moved out a couple days ago. The silence on the other end was deafening, but short-lived. "You what?" she screamed, loud enough that I had to hold the phone away from my ear. "How could you do this to us? We're standing here with all our belongings. Where are we supposed to go?" "Back to your house, I guess. The one you still own. This is outrageous." My father's voice came through now. "They must have put me on speaker. Give us your new address immediately. We need to bring our things there." "No," I said, surprised by how firm my voice sounded. "I'm not giving you my new address, because you're not moving in with me." "Naomi," my mother was back. "You are being cruel and ungrateful. You've put us in a terrible position." "That was rich." "I put you in a terrible position? You decided to move in with me without asking. You were going to take my bedroom. You never once considered what I wanted or how I felt." "You never have." "That's not true," my father protested weakly. "It is true. Everything has always been about what Vanessa wants, what Vanessa needs. I'm done being the family ATM and doormat." "We're your parents," my mother said, her voice catching. "You can't just cut us off like this." "I'm not cutting you off. I'm setting boundaries. Go back to your house. Figure out your own living situation. And maybe, when you learn to respect me as an adult, we can talk." I hung up before they could respond. Not even a minute later, Vanessa was calling. I picked up, bracing myself. "What the hell is wrong with you?" she screeched without preamble. "Mom and Dad are coming back to my house now. This is so unfair. You need to take them." "Quiet," I said sharply. The command was so unexpected that Vanessa actually stopped talking. "I'm done solving your problems," I continued. "And I'm done sending you money every month. As of right now, those $1,000 transfers are canceled." "You can't do that," she shrieked, finding her voice again. "We need that money. You selfish bastard. After everything." I hung up, blocked her number, and my parents' numbers too. Then I opened my banking app and canceled the automatic monthly transfer to Vanessa's account. As I put down my phone, I felt lighter than I had in years. The guilt and obligation that had weighed me down for so long were gone. In their place was something new: pride. I had finally stood up for myself. I poured myself a glass of wine, the good stuff I usually couldn't afford, and looked around my new apartment. It wasn't perfectly set up yet. Boxes still littered every surface. But it was mine. My space. My rules. The peace I'd found in my new apartment didn't last long. After about 2 weeks of blissful silence, my extended family started calling. First was Aunt Carol, my mom's sister. "Naomi, sweetie. I haven't seen you in ages. Where are you living now? I'd love to come visit and see your new place. I wasn't born yesterday." "Did my mom put you up to this, Aunt Carol?" A pause. "Well, she might have mentioned she's worried about you." "I'm fine. I'm just not sharing my address with anyone right now." Next was Uncle Mike. Then my cousin Tiffany. Then even my dad's bowling buddy Steve, who I'd met maybe twice in my life. Each call had the same awkward energy, forced casualness followed by not-so-subtle fishing for my new address. Look, I finally told my grandfather, the last in this parade of family spies. "I know Mom and Dad are behind all these calls. I'm not giving anyone my address. Please tell them to stop using you all as their personal investigators." Grandpa had the decency to sound embarrassed. "They're just concerned, kiddo. They're concerned about their plans being ruined, not about me," I corrected him. The calls stopped after that. I thought maybe they'd finally accepted my decision and were moving on. I was wrong. One Tuesday evening, as I left work, I spotted my parents' blue Subaru parked across the street from my office building. I pretended not to notice them and walked casually to my car in the parking lot. I could see them in my rearview mirror as I pulled out. They were following at a distance, trying and failing to be inconspicuous. I smiled to myself. Did they think they were in some spy movie? I drove directly to the Westfield Mall, occasionally checking my mirror to confirm they were still tailing me. They hung back several cars, but that blue Subaru was unmistakable. When I pulled into the mall parking lot, they found a spot with a clear view of my car. Once inside the mall, I called my friend Rachel. "Hey, I need a favor. My parents are literally stalking me. They followed me to the mall and they're watching my car. Can you pick me up at the north exit?" I'll leave through there while they're still watching my car at the south entrance. Girl, I'm on my way. This is the most exciting thing that's happened to me all week. I spent about an hour browsing stores, occasionally peeking out the windows to see my parents still dutifully watching my car. Rachel texted when she arrived, and I slipped out the north exit, grinning as I imagined my parents waiting for hours for me to return to my car. Get in, loser. We're escaping your psycho family, she said as I slid into her car. We both burst out laughing. I can't believe this is my life, I said once I'd caught my breath. My own parents are stalking me. Have you considered a restraining order? Rachel asked, only half joking. Let's hope it doesn't come to that, I replied, though the thought had crossed my mind. Over the next few months, my parents made several more attempts to find my new address. They tried following me from work 2 more times, but I was vigilant. They sent more relatives to call me with increasingly transparent excuses. Eventually, the surveillance stopped. No more mysterious calls from distant relatives. No more parental stakeouts. Nothing. It was strange how quickly I adapted to the silence. For the first time in my adult life, I wasn't constantly anxious about family obligations or unexpected financial demands. I started putting the $1,000 I used to send Vanessa into savings each month. I went on dates without worrying about my parents showing up unannounced. I bought a nice couch without feeling guilty about wasting money on myself. I was happy. Really, genuinely happy. Then came the email, 2 weeks before Christmas, from Mom. Naomi, I hope this email finds you well. It's been several months since we last spoke, and your father and I've had a lot of time to reflect on our actions. We realize now that we overstepped boundaries and didn't consider your feelings. For that, we are truly sorry. Vanessa wanted me to tell you that she's found a job at the elementary school as an administrative assistant. She and Derek are renting their own apartment now, and they're managing their finances independently. They're doing well. Your father and I are still in our house. After you left, we realized how unreasonable our expectations were. We should never have tried to force ourselves into your life that way. We would very much like to see you this Christmas. Nothing fancy, just family dinner at our house. No demands, no expectations. We miss you, Naomi. We'd like a chance to make things right. Please consider it. You don't need to respond right away. Love. Mom. I read the email 3 times, not quite believing what I was seeing. An apology from my mother? And Vanessa had a job? Was this a genuine olive branch or another manipulation tactic? After a lifetime of being the less favored child, of having my boundaries trampled and my generosity exploited, could I trust this sudden change of heart? I closed the laptop without responding. I needed time to think. That night I dreamt of childhood Christmases. The way Vanessa would rip open mountains of presents while I carefully unwrapped my much smaller pile. The way Mom would beam when Vanessa hugged her, but barely noticed when I did the same. The constant comparison. The persistent feeling that I was somehow less worthy of love and attention. But I also remembered glimpses of genuine connection, Dad teaching me to ride a bike. Mom nursing me through a terrible flu when I was 10. The rare moments when Vanessa and I got along, sharing secrets and giggling late into the night before our relationship soured in our teens. Were those moments enough to build a new relationship on? Could we ever have a healthy family dynamic? Or would I always be the afterthought, the backup plan, the walking ATM? I didn't have answers. All I knew was that I'd found my strength, my voice, my boundaries. Whatever happened next, I wouldn't lose those again. I stared at my mother's email for days, the cursor hovering over the reply button before I'd close my laptop and walk away. Christmas was a week away, and I still hadn't decided what to do. I drafted and deleted a dozen replies to my mom's email. None of them felt right, too cold, too forgiving, too tentative. Finally, I wrote, Mom, I'll come for Christmas dinner. What time should I be there? Short, non-committal, but not rude. I hit send before I could change my mind. My mother's reply came less than an hour later. Naomi, we're so happy you're coming. Dinner will be at 5. Your father is making his special prime rib. Just bring yourself. No gifts necessary. Love. Mom. The no gifts necessary part caught my attention. Usually, my family made a big deal about expensive presents, especially for Vanessa's kids. This was different. The week leading up to Christmas was a blur of last-minute work deadlines and holiday preparations. Despite my mom's assurance that gifts weren't necessary, I picked up small presents for everyone. Nothing extravagant, just thoughtful tokens. I wasn't going to change who I was just because they might have changed. Christmas Day arrived cold and clear. I dressed carefully in a sweater I liked, not the one Vanessa had once told me, at least hide your stomach. I drove to my parents' house with a knot in my stomach, rehearsing responses to potential provocations. If they ask for money, I'm not in a position to help financially right now. If they pressure me about my address, I'm happy with my living situation and prefer to keep it private. If they criticize my life choices, I appreciate your concern, but I'm comfortable with my decisions. I pulled into the driveway, took a deep breath, and approached the front door. Before I could knock, it swung open. My mother stood there, looking somehow smaller than I remembered. She stepped forward and hugged me, not the perfunctory embrace I was used to, but a real hug. Tight and lingering. I stood stiffly for a moment before cautiously returning it. Inside, the house smelled like prime rib and pine. My father appeared from the kitchen, wiping his hands on a dish towel. "There she is," he said, smiling hesitantly. He too embraced me, patting my back awkwardly. "Merry Christmas, kiddo." "Where are Vanessa and the gang?" I asked, glancing around the suspiciously quiet house. "They'll be here at 5, Mom explained. We asked you to come early. We wanted some time just with you." This was definitely new. I followed them to the living room, where a fire crackled in the fireplace and 3 mugs of hot chocolate waited on the coffee table. "Naomi," Dad began once we were seated, "we owe you an apology. A real one. Not just an email." I nodded, waiting. "We've been unfair to you," Mom continued. "For a long time, not just with the housing situation." She looked down at her hands. "We favored Vanessa. We've taken you for granted. We've treated you like your only value to this family was financial." "Why?" I asked simply. It was the question I'd wanted to ask my entire life. My parents exchanged glances. Dad clarified, "Vanessa was always more demanding. She needed additional care and support. You were quite self-sufficient. So competent. You appeared like you could manage it, so we relied on you." Mom went on, "We thought that your strength would protect you from harm. That was our fault." As I processed what they had said, I took a drink of hot chocolate. "And Vanessa? Has she have a similar realization?" They looked at each other again. Dad answered, "She's working on it. She has had success finding employment. Derek has also accepted a stable job with an accounting business." We spoke for more than an hour. We had a genuine conversation that we had never had before. They inquired about my new flat, my pals, and my career, but they didn't ask for the address. I saw that I was gradually unwinding, cautiously hopeful. The doorbell rang at 5 o'clock. Derek, Vanessa, and the children had come. I prepared myself for the return of the previous dynamic. Vanessa went in first, followed by the children. Her gaze instantly met mine. "Naomi," she began in a voice that was unusually quiet. "Happy Christmas." "Happy Christmas," I said indifferently. There was an uneasy quiet. Then, to my complete surprise, Vanessa came up and gave me a hug. "I apologize," she muttered. "I have been an awful sister." I was totally unprepared for this and froze. In her whole life, Vanessa had never expressed regret to me for anything. I managed to say, "Thank you for saying that." It was a strange dinner. Vanessa spoke with sincere excitement about her work. Derek talked about his new job, but he made no mention of becoming wealthy quickly. When Emma spilled her drink, Vanessa cleaned it up herself rather than waiting for Mom or me to do it, and the kids behaved beautifully. I wasn't asked for money. Nobody made passive-aggressive remarks regarding the decisions I made in life. I established limits and no one tried to make me feel bad about it. After supper, I started laughing heartily at Dad's cheesy jokes as we shared the small presents we had all brought, embracing Mom's praises without looking for any unspoken jabs. I'm genuinely loving the animated talk of my niece and nephews. Mom led me to the door as I was ready to go. "Are you coming for New Year's?" she said hesitantly. I paused. Years of being viewed as an afterthought were not erased by one pleasant evening. Rebuilding trust would take time. Sincerely, I said, give it some thought. She accepted my boundary without objecting, nodding. One more encouraging indicator. I sat in my car for a while before I turned on the ignition. It had been a good evening. Oddly good. I had a cynical thought. Was it all a charade? When they believed I was back in the fold, would they go back to their old ways? Time would tell. For the moment, though, I felt pleased with myself for showing up and confronting them in my own way. It was unclear if we could actually mend our relationship. However, I was confident that I would never again be the doormat for the family. I had discovered my voice, and I was determined not to lose it once more.